Hi, my name is Nancy Martin.
My name is Suzanne, Trinh.
Hi, I'm Elieen Candels.
Good afternoon. My name is Freddy Lawrence.
Hello, my name is Molly Markland.
Ben Sosney, I'm the Executive Director at the Berkshire Innovation Center. Very pleased to be hosting the NERDIC group at our facility today.
Okay, hello. Great to have everybody here. So thank you. So my name is David Burrell and I'll be acting as the timekeeper today. A couple of things just to sort of set the stage, right? First of all, relax, right? What we're aiming to do is foster really meaningful collaboration. I'm going to now ask one of NERDIC's key partners, Christine Nolan, to come and welcome you on behalf of Massachusetts and to set the stage here. So Christine, please.
I'm Christine Nolan. I'm the Director of the Center for Advanced Manufacturing at the Massachusetts Technology Collaborative. And the power of NERDIC is the power for us to convene and solve challenges together. We've got a once-in-a-generation opportunity ahead of us. And it's really all being shaped down from the federal government, who's established the modern American industrial policy that is centered around the Department of Defense, the plan to revitalize American manufacturing and to secure our critical supply chains. The CHIPS Plus Science Act, $54 billion for the domestic production of microelectronics here in the United States. In the 1990s, we were making here in the United States close to 40% of all chips. And now we're down to about 10%. But there are still things here that we should point out that are being made in the United States. Approximately 40% of all the semiconductor equipment is made here. So what we've done is we've established a Northeast Microelectronics Coalition. What we've set as a mission is to transform the greater Northeast into an innovation engine to accelerate the development and scaling and adoption of the next generation of technologies. And I'm using this as an example of how are we going to come together as a region and meet the needs of General Dynamics. What are we known for up here in the Northeast? That next generation of technology, the innovation, and they need us, and the DoD needs us. It starts here. I'm breaking down boundaries, breaking down state lines, and working together that this is going to happen. So I encourage you to get involved, and it's going to take all of us to make this change, but we can do it. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Laura Hooks. She's Vice President and General Manager of Maritime and Strategic Systems for General Dynamics Mission Systems.
Thank you, Christine, and good morning. And thank you all for being here. And Columbia is the nation's #1 defense priority right now. Because the Columbia is getting priority, they have to slow down the Virginia class because they don't have enough workers and they don't have enough supply chain to keep both of them on track at the same time. So there's that demand signal. If you're not hearing it, if you're not seeing it in the numbers that Christine just presented, it's there and it's very strong. And the New England region, I think, has one of the best foundations to really build from to really help that industrial base. So to begin, there's a new report out there that was commissioned by the Southeastern New England Defense Industrial Association, also known as SNEDIA. According to this report, in 2022, the New England Defense Cluster supported 407,523 jobs, generating over $40 billion in income for households and representing more than $119 billion in economic output for the area. Next, according to a report released by the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Industrial Policy, the defense industrial base has seen a 40% decline in small business. That's not a good thing. Unfortunately, small businesses are going to continue to face increasing obstacles and barriers to entry. And part of that is due to the challenging nature, particularly around cybersecurity requirements. 66% of our supply base is small business, right? That's 2/3 of our supply base. In the last 5 years or so, we have actually increased our DoD small business spend by about 15%. So that's an additional $60 million from where we were trying to drive that small business economy. So what is our ask of small businesses? We want small businesses to register in the ESRP system, small businesses to utilize the BIC and other resources, and to be involved in the Navy's SBIR or STTR programs. From a talent development workforce training perspective, we believe we need the following: development of a strong and long-term sustainable pipeline of manufacturing candidates, reducing cost and complexity for smaller businesses, again, to become cyber compliant, also very critical. Developmental training for the application, justification, and use of the appropriate advanced technologies in manufacturing. We also need to develop longer range goals to drive efficiency and cost reductions throughout the production processes. I'll stop there. Thank you all for being here. Hopefully together we can accelerate the growth in this industry and, provide help for small businesses to transition, improve those good paying jobs and also protect our national security. With that, I think we wanted to do a little Q&A. If you guys are interested, I'm happy to say. I think what's happened is it's harder, quite frankly, to be a small business in the defense space. In the past, the cyber requirements haven't been there, right? And those are becoming kind of front and center right now. You hear everything about where data is getting stolen, quite frankly, right? So it's really important to protect that. And that is a big barrier to entry for folks. So while the longevity is there, while the repeatability of that once you're in the family, so to speak, is there, it's hard to get in to start. Whatever you feel like you need in order for us to help accelerate that transition or reduce the cost of those barriers so it's not as hard. Those are the types of things that we really need to focus on, that will enable hopefully that acceleration and the tide turning. We have less than 1% of the shipbuilding capacity within the United States. So just think about that, right? I mean, these are the types of things where, how do you actually rebuild an entire industry like shipbuilding? That's a big ask. And, to ensure that we've got the capacity to support, again, the protection of national freedoms, pretty big deal, right? I think a lot of us grew up with the mentality where your shift is 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. You got your 5:45 a.m. stand-up meeting, right? I had the pleasure of working an electric boat for about 6.5 years, so I lived that dream, quite a bit. I'm not a morning person. I think the first place it starts is flexibility with the scheduling, right? How do we allow a mom to get her kid to school on time? How do when does daycare open? It's not at 5:45. I'll let you know that, right? How do you work around the things that improve the flexibility for the workforce, even if they are coming into the office? Those types of things go a long way to try to accommodate the employees and what they need for flexibility. And that helps attract that. Where's that kind of career, progression idea? So helping educate folks on why it's important, why the industry is important, why the mission is important, really helps us, I think, tug on the heartstrings a little bit of folks to say, hey, this is from a long game perspective, really, really good bet, right? I think the more we can make the vocational curriculum and the sparkle of that more exciting for folks, very helpful. Again, just making it interesting and back to these are good paying jobs, right? There's a career here. Just trying to build on that.
Just a little bit about General Dynamics in case you don't know about us. General Dynamics Mission Systems is one of several different business units. We work in the aviation space with our Gulfstream. We work on platforms like BIW, electric boat, and we work in land systems. So when you see the Abrams tank, you think of General Dynamics. We work in all the things that make things go boom, right? Anywhere, depending on the program, between 20 and 40% of the work we do is done by our partners, not by us. So while we have amazing people and technologies and skills, we're heavily reliant upon our partners for the collective success of General Dynamics and our nation's security. We're in every state within the New England area, and we have 4 different business units represented. We have contracts with our Navy customer here, and you heard Laura mention it, and these are real facts, till 2084. I won't be alive in 2084, but hopefully my daughter will come here and take over when I leave. And she'll be here till 2084, but 2084, so a significant amount of work that also demonstrates the customer's trust in us as a partner, and we in turn with all of you who are our partners, whether present or in the future. We really seek in this area to work with and to develop relationships with local partners. And so that's our message to you today, our plea to you today is we want to continue to partner locally, but we understand there's challenges in doing so. And what we need to do today and going forward is listen with an intent to do something differently tomorrow than we've done before today.
Thank you, Freddie, for that intro and the overview. You know, I'm always amazed at all the things that we do at GD. So now that you know a little bit about us, we wanted to segue into why we're here. So NERDIC asked us, you know, General Dynamics, since we're a large industry partner in the area, to be a part of today, and we were very honored to do so. And especially when Freddie and I were asked to lead this discussion, we really wanted to make sure that the voice of the small business supplier was heard. So we could say all kinds of things as a large prime, but really it's our small business partners and what matters to you, that matters to us. So really, that's why we want to hear from you. As you guys heard Laura say this morning, 66% of our supply base is small. That's a huge amount, a huge amount. So we love small businesses and we take working with small businesses very seriously.
Thrilled to be meeting so many of my NERDIC colleagues, excited about the work that we do in Connecticut, helping inform all of the small and medium-sized manufacturers and supply chain about embracing advanced technologies so that they can become more competitive and more participative.
So we had two different groups having this discussion around marketing and creating awareness of advanced manufacturing throughout the NERDIC states. Our key takeaways, I'm going to have to read it this way: opportunity for NERDIC for a regional marketing campaign, content marketing and storytelling. You know, not just highlighting the really cool, interesting tech that is being developed, but also sort of what is the story? How do we get this message out, and how do we market to the gatekeepers, whether that's the parents or the guidance counselors and so on and so forth? Making defense exciting and not scary. Career assessment tools. We heard a really great story about Springfield Technical Community College and an assessment tool that they're using to figure out what interests and aptitudes sort of exist in a student so they can help advise them into things like advanced manufacturing. Engage at the executive level of education. You know, it's both and. We push into schools and we try to support schools in sort of the work of advanced manufacturing and engineering and design, but also we need to have some coordination with the executive office so that they're pushing down and they're providing additional supports for the educators in those districts. Social media campaigns, you know, thinking about TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all that fun stuff. Dynamic and flexible media plan. Classroom through careers. We want to capture the whole breadth, not just, you know, our students in our K-12 system, but our career changers and our veterans and all sorts of folks that might be able to come into this career field. Our next steps were to utilize human-centered design to rebrand manufacturing, bring Gen Z, A, and B to developing solutions. Convene a team to investigate proven elementary school models. And then media content assessment strategy, regionalized marketing campaigns, you know, through NERDIC, let's brand manufacturing. What is it? You know, it happens in these nondescript boxes of buildings and we don't know what happens. And so how can we bring out what we do to the forefront?
We had a really nice breakout of people from every single one of our states playing at different roles. And we actually were very lucky to have, I think, almost all of our MEP folks from each of our states, which was really great. So we're talking about a coordinated and connected education system. And this is everything from, you know, K through 12, the community colleges, the workforce systems, our 4 years. What does that look like? And how do we do that? Because the numbers are overwhelming and almost makes it like, where do you even start? Because it's so overwhelming, but we have to start somewhere. Industry leading programs like 4-H. Back in the day when we needed to get more people interested in agriculture, we created whole programs around 4-H. We know we have some of those around VEX and FIRST and Sea-Perch and some of these other programs. So how do we potentially leverage that? MEPs as partners with our CTE programs, our career tech education programs, and manufacturers. How do we create those relationships and we sustain those relationships? So our next steps is industry engagement, scaling and how different school systems work. This is how do we engage industry? as part of my role, I'll be going out to each of the states and bringing our partners to the table. And that's going to be that first step. What's happening? What are those best practices? How are relationships happening? What are the needs for manufacturing? How do we get programming in? So that again comes back to getting the right players to the table. And I think that's going to be one of the questions we ask as we go out. The more partners you bring to the table, it makes it a little bit messier, but it also means you've got a lot more buy-in from people who can be your go-to and can speak on your behalf. This is the ecosystem right now that we're looking at. So yeah, your eyes all should just bog down. They're interviewing our workforce systems, our MEPs, our industry, and saying, how do we make this work? This is a complex problem. It's going to take a lot of people helping us to work through that system. A couple of just last takeaways. So they've been interviewing, again, workforce folks, training, education, and some of the things we hear, we still have the stigma of working in manufacturing, the cost of living. We talk about this all the time. And then classes aren't filled at our community colleges in particular. They're like, we need to cancel these programs because nobody's in them. But yet we have industry telling us we need all of these people. There's a disconnect. Marketing, hopefully, and branding will help with that. But we've got to start in elementary school because it's got to be all the way through. And then it is a collaboration between industry and education. And that's what NERDIC is going to try to help focus on over the next year, where we're doing it well. How do we bring some of these best practices? How do we as a region compete? And how do we help one another? Because at the end of the day, New England is still smaller than many other states out there that we're competing against. And we have a lot of resources that we can leverage and start building from. So.
I'm really happy to be here and talk about how our supply chain is working with small business partners.
And hearing a wide variety of ideas and how we can engage our future generation in manufacturing opportunities.
I'm very excited about the future of General Dynamics Electric Boat. As we grow, our suppliers will be growing as well.
All the different capabilities that are coming out. So the Internet of Things, the digital twins, the artificial intelligence, I think it's really going to propel the defense industrial base forward.
The defense sector here in New England, an extremely robust and strong defense ecosystem, will continue to grow and continue to succeed here. Today's program is just a great way to come together with all the stakeholders.